Thokozani, Makhosi, Camagu, Dauwe, Hotep, Ashe, Namaste. Peace be unto you, Bakanyiselwa. And today I want us to cover a variety of topics, right? I want us to go deeper into the esoteric and the abstract side of the energy of this cycle. Because as much as we are in this time of intense physicality, we are also given a chance to use our reason to understand the abstractions of the spirit. Because spirit is beyond reason, so we know that we can only go so far with our reason, right? In order to determine the limits of our reason, we must be able to contextualize what is known, what is unknown, and what is unknowable. This now takes us back to Idlozi Neto. These teachings then allows us to contextualize things easily. Idlozi is made up of what is unknown, what is known, and what is knowable, whereas Itongo is unknowable. So what we are dealing with right now is Idlozi. When we are talking about Set, the ego, the self, we are talking about Idlozi. When we're talking about names and surnames, we are talking about Idlozi. These are items of Idlozi, all the way to your worldviews, your philosophies, your experiences, your mentality, your understanding, your intellect, your likes and dislikes, your knowledge, your dreams, your thoughts, your desires, your longings, your emotions, etc. These are but items of Idlozi. We said Idlozi has 6 aspects, and these items belong to either one of these aspects, right? Remember, we have umzimba, isithunzi, amandla, uthi wesilo, uthi womuntu, and uthi wethongo, which is the physical body, the ethereal body, the energy body. Then we have the animal mind, the human mind, and we have the God mind, the mind of the higher self. These principles must not be taken superficially, rather, they must be taken literally. And we should be able to pinpoint the effects of these forces within our everyday life. But that's not what we are about today. Today I want us to be abstract. Maybe we'll cover some of these items of Idlozi at a later stage in this video, or else we'll have to make a different video for that. So now I want us to go back to the creation story so that we study Idlozi from the beginning. A lot of people only study Idlozi from the afterlife, thus they have a limited view of what Idlozi actually is. In order to have a wholesome view, a 360-degree view of what Idlozi is, we must study Idlozi from its beginning, its middle, and its end. Then we are in a better position to understand not only our ancestors, but to also understand ourselves. Remember, the reason why ancient people taught us about God is because they were trying to teach us about the self. The reason why we were taught about our ancestors is because the elders were trying to teach us about ourselves. Everything boils down to the self, which is to say, everything boils down to Idlozi. But we'll get into this a bit later on. When we go back to the story of creation, we know that everything comes from Itongo, and from Itongo came Idlozi. We can also say that from Bosena Sello came Masello or Mudimu. From Inxakanxaka came uNkulunkulu or Umvelinqangi. These are all just different ways of saying the same thing, that from nothingness came somethingness. But for the purpose of this teaching, I would like us to use the Kemetic tree of life from the Heliopolitan Ennead. So basically, this is in accordance to the Rastas of Kemu, the priests of the lineage or the world of Rastau. This is very much aligned because Rostau represents the earth element, which is the element of Set and Capricorn. So let us watch a short clip from the creation story of Ra. Many of us already know this story, and I think I also covered a bit of it here when we were talking about the mystery of Abankoma Abafitluwe, when we were going into those teachings. Right, so yeah, let's check out the video. This Bakanyisela is actually a very interesting video, and if you haven't watched this, please, after this video, do spend some time to go and check this out. It has a lot of symbology. The symbology here is crazy. It's sacred, you know. It's called Ra, the creation of the sun god, or is it the path of the sun god? Yes. I'm gonna make sure that I add this on my playlist on my sacred collection, so you can easily find it there. The dawn creation. This is initiation. What can you say? Also, this is like the nothingness. Busena sello. Formlessness.
Before all time, there was the noon, the sea of chaos, where all forms of what was to be lay hidden. Within the heart of the living noon stirred the spirit of the waters, the great snake, Apep. From the coils of Apep sprang Atum, the first god of creation, and the one became two. Apep embraced Atum in his coils, binding tightly to his second nature, trying to become one with himself again. But Atum transformed himself in the folds of Apep into the scarab god of becoming and broke free of his embrace. Apep, the serpent of chaos, fought to return with Atum to the heart of the noon. But Atum overpowered Apep.
Much of the imagery that we see is connected to the underwater initiate. They say, in the beginning, there was the waters, and within the waters of Noon, came the stirring force, who is Apep, right? Then from this stirring, then came Atum. Atum then separated himself from the waters of Noon. Apep came after him and tried to swallow him back to the waters. But then Atum resisted Apep. Then Atum transformed himself into the scarab god of becoming. This is Khepri, the god of becoming. So we have Noon representing Busina Sillo, Itongo, nothingness, formlessness, or chaos. Then we have Apep, the steering force that pulls things back into busenaselo itongo, nothingness. And then we also have Atum, the force that separated itself from Nun. Atum is Idlozi that separated itself from Itongo. So Atum is Idlozi, representing the separation, differentiation, and individuality. That's why Abangoma Abafihluweyo say individuality began from the highest level of creation, meaning individuality began from the first level of manifestation, from the highest cosmic cycle. The minute we manifested, we automatically became individuals. Hence, God created us when He created Himself, when He created the world. So now, when God created Himself, He also had to resist the force that would pull Him back into the waters of Nun, just like how Atum has to resist Apep from pulling him back to the waters of Nun, just like how Idlozi has to resist the force that keeps pulling it back to Ito. Creation came out of nothingness. But in order for creation to exist, creation must constantly resist being pulled back into nothingness. Without this force of resistance, Idlozi would be sucked back into the chaos of Itongo. Creation would be sucked back into nothingness. Atum would be pulled back into Nun. So Idlozi separates itself from Itongo and then it resists Itongo so that it can achieve self-recognition, differentiation, and individuality. All these things come as an effect of separation. Without separation, we wouldn't be able to recognize ourselves. We wouldn't be able to differentiate things from each other. We wouldn't be able to attain individuality. So Idlozi, in separating itself from the Itongo, it becomes the ego. It becomes individualized and differentiated. Thus, Idlozi is the ego. Atum or Umvelinqangi is the ego. And Atum and also Umvelinqangi are also Amadlozi. They are Idlozi. Creation itself is the ego because it represents separation from the creator. Not only that, but creation resists the creator. I'm speaking one truth, but this is applicable on so many levels when you think about it. So now this means that the law that governs creation is the law of resistance. In order for this world to exist, it has to resist. In order for this earth to exist, earth has to resist. If earth didn't resist, then it would automatically be crushed down by its own gravitational pull, and ultimately it will implode back into its center. But there's a force of resistance that doesn't allow this to happen. Even with you, if your Idlozi didn't resist your Itongo, then you would become all Itongo. Automatically, you would burst into Itongo and be pulled back into it within a split second, foot. So the force of resistance, which is what your ego is made up of, is actually good because it keeps creation intact. It keeps creation in existence. And it keeps us anchored within the context of creation. We exist because we resist. Even in our daily lives, we keep insisting, we keep resisting, thus we keep existing. This resisting is an everyday, every moment choice. If for a single moment we stop resisting, then we will be pulled away into non-existence. This is true on so many levels. And remember, whatever we resist will also insist. What you resist will insist, it will persist. What you look at disappears, but that's not for today. So physical matter exists because it resists. The law of physical matter is resistance. Where there's resistance, there's separation and there's duality. Itongo exists on the level of oneness, whereas Idlozi is on the level of duality, separation, the ego. Idlozi exists within duality. It can only recognize itself in duality when things are separated into up and down, left and right, etc. This is when now Idlozi can come and decide whether it is up or it is down, it is going left or it is going right. Therefore, the consciousness of Idlozi is dual. In this way, Idlozi is able to self-recognize. It is able to self-define. It is able to define itself as either this or that. When Idlozi manifests itself, it can only manifest half of itself, leaving the other half on the unmanifested. Hence, the physical world is only half of itself. It only manifests half of itself, leaving its other half unmanifested. In the world of creation, things are manifested in two, the negative and the positive. With good, there's evil. With up, there's down. With sadness, there's happiness. These things are always manifested together, right? As a positive and its negative. And even with you as an individual being, you have your two sides. One half of yourself is manifested. We can see it, we can touch it, we can smell it. But there's another part of you that is unmanifested. In terms of Idlozi, it's still true. Idlozi is manifested in a form of umzimba wakho, your body. But there's also another part of Idlozi that is unmanifest. Everything comes in twos. Creation itself came in two aspects, the physical and the spiritual. One of the ways of exemplifying this is to say, let's say we take a blank piece of paper. We can see it's blank, there's nothing written on it. Now the question is, what can we draw or write on this blank piece of paper? The answer is that obviously we literally can write or draw anything on this blank piece of paper, right? We are agreeable here. So the piece of paper has the potential to be anything. It has infinite potential to even be used as anything. I can use it to write or draw. I can even fold it and make an origami image out of it. I can simply color it with crayons or paint over it with one color. Let's say then I decide to draw a leaf, and I'm gonna use this green crayon, right? I'm gonna draw a green leaf right there. So now we no longer have a blank page, but we have a leaf drawn on a blank page. Now what you must realize is that the leaf was already there. The difference is that you couldn't see it, or rather you couldn't differentiate it. And in drawing it, I have simply made it recognizable. I've made it clearer and I've pinpointed it out. Otherwise, it was always there. The only reason you can differentiate it now is because you can see that there is a leaf and there is a blank piece of paper. Right, you recognize that there's a blank piece of paper and then there's the leaf. There's a difference between the two. Right, so now you see this green leaf, and that's the only thing here, right? You also know that the leaf was already there. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for me to even draw it. The leaf was already on the paper, existing as a potential and as a possibility. In drawing this leaf, I have manifested a possibility, something that was already there. I literally just drew it out. So we see this green leaf here on paper, but we must also realize that there is another leaf that is there, a leaf that we do not see. This leaf is actually red. Let me just draw it right here, right behind it. And it is on the unmanifested aspect of the manifested green leaf. Right? The two are always together, like two sides of the same coin. Right? Green is the complementary of red. Red is the complementary of green, just like two sides of the same coin. When you look at the heads of a coin, the tail is there, but it remains on the unseen. When you look at the tails, the heads is unseen. Yet we know it is there. It's just like this green leaf. For the fact that it is green, it means there is a complementary red leaf that we do not see. So it is with everything in creation. Happiness and sadness are complementaries, just like red and green are complementaries. Whenever you manifest happiness, sadness is also there, but it is unmanifested as the negative side of happiness. Consequently, whenever we choose happiness, we are also choosing sadness. When a coin is lying on the floor and you choose to take the coin, you can't say, no, I just want to take the heads or I just want to take the tails only. When you choose to take the coin, you are automatically choosing both of its positive and negative, its heads and tails. So this is like saying, when we chose to enter this world, we automatically chose good and evil, happiness and sadness, pain and pleasure, forgetfulness and remembering, life and death. That's why this world doesn't fail us when it comes to these things, eh? These are the fluctuations of life. We move between satisfaction and dissatisfaction, misery and joy, love and hate. With love, it's even worse because love is everything. So when we choose love, we are automatically choosing a whole variety of other emotions like anger, jealousy, happiness, sadness, etc. We love those we hate those we love. When you are in love with someone, you are bound to feel all sorts of emotions combined. You may resent that person, you may be angry at them, but ultimately you love them. And you only feel angry and resentful simply because you love this person. So when you choose love, you are also choosing all emotions. Right? That is why when we go back to the leaf, in drawing the green leaf, I automatically also drew a red leaf. It means I have entered into a world of duality. It means I have eaten of the tree of good and evil. Because in choosing good, I have automatically chosen evil. These are two sides of the same coin. When I manifest evil, good is unmanifested, but it is there. It is unseen. When I manifest good, evil is unmanifested, but it is still there and remains unseen. When we speak now of Itongo, which exists beyond creation, it's on that level of indivisible unity. We are now speaking about something that is beyond good and evil because it is beyond creation. Whereas creation is governed by separation. And furthermore, creation is governed by resistance. Now, the law of resistance is the very same law that governs the pyramid. The pyramid is equally balanced and equally resting on itself. In doing this, it is resisting all the natural forces that are applied on it. Therefore, it is able to last for many years because its structural resistance is balanced, and all the applied forces are equally integrated within the whole structure. Hence, it stands tall for much longer periods. If the pyramid didn't resist, it would crumble back on itself into dust. I want us to go deeper within all of this, but for now, let us end the lesson here and just do a quick recap. We said creation exists because it resists. When things appear within the context of creation, they manifest into two: the positive and the negative. This is the dual nature of everything. Everything has its opposite complementary. The opposite of white is black, the opposite of red is green, the opposite of male is female, etc. When one side is manifested, the other side is unmanifested. But it is there. As humans, we are both male and female. But when we are born as males, our complementary counterpart remains unmanifested. When we are born as females, our male counterparts are unmanifested. When we look at the head side of the coin, we cannot see the tails, but it is there. When we turn the coin to look at the tails, automatically the head is unmanifested. We can't see it, but it is there. And keep in mind that with the coin, you can't really see both sides of the coin. You can't put a coin in such a way that you can see both the heads and the tails. In fact, when you try to do this, you end up in the middle where there's no heads or tails. You can't see them, but you can still see the coin. Hence, if you were to unite your two sides, you would automatically be swallowed by it all. But in this case, something in you will remain conscious and individualized. This is when we are speaking of ascension and transcendence. And it's definitely something to think about. Do think about the implications of these lessons. If you find it hard to grasp some of the concepts, do ask questions or keep watching this video or simply contemplate on these lessons. You'll find that more revelations will come as you keep thinking about these insights. And try to find your own examples. Try to look at the world in accordance to these lessons. A lot of enlightenment will dawn on you as you keep doing this. Simply observe the world and realize that everything you see is but half of what is actually there. What does this mean for you? How does this affect your reality? One of the implications is that if you've been living your whole life focused on the physical world, it means you've been living only half of your life. You've only been experiencing half of what is actually there. And as a human, you only know half of yourself, and you can only tell half of your story. Whatever story you've been telling people, it's only half the story. Right? Whatever you conceive yourself as, that is only half of the story. If you say you are black, that's only half of you. If you say you are Indian or Asian, that's only just half of who you are. If you say you are human, that is but half of you. We spend so much time and energy focusing on this physical body, not knowing that it is but half of everything we are. We are beyond this manifested half. There's another half of ourselves. It is this other half that is actually much older, much wiser, much silent than we are. That is the real self, who is really just imagining you into being. Now, before I start over, before I start with a new lesson, Bakanyiselwa, let us end our video lesson here. We do thank you for joining us. Siyavusela. May the light shine upon you. Makukhanye kuleyo ndawo. Sawa.